Halle Berry was a rising star on the Hollywood scene. She had worked with heavy hitters like director Spike Lee and starred opposite legendary actors like Jessica Lange and Kurt Russell. And she had even scored her first $1 million contract. Halle's career was definitely on the rise. But her personal life was about to take a nosedive. That year, she and her husband, baseball player David Justice, split in a bitter and public divorce.
There were a lot of charges and countercharges flying between David and Halle at the time. For two beautiful people, it was a very ugly breakup.
For Halle, the aftermath of the marriage proved to be even uglier.
After her marriage broke up with David Justice, Halle took it very hard.
So hard that one night shortly after the split, Halle almost ended her life.
She was crying uncontrollably.
She felt maybe she should just leave this world.
She packed up her dog, she went into the car, she already had a bottle of wine. She turned on the ignition and she just wanted to die.
As the garage filled with fumes, Halle's mind began to drift.
She was sitting there in the car thinking about how her mother worked so hard to instill this positive sense of self, and how she was sitting here just throwing it all away. So she got out of the car and saved her own life.
Behind Halle's sparkling smile and stunning talent is a life filled with pain and loss. Despite her tremendous success in Hollywood, she has struggled to find happiness in her personal life. Halle Maria Berry was born in 1966 in inner-city Cleveland, Ohio. Her parents worked at the same psychiatric hospital. Her father was African-American. Her mother was white.
Her father, he's someone that had a drinking problem, someone that had a problem with his temper.
And when his temper flared, Halle says her father was physically abusive to her mother and Halle's older sister. While he never physically abused Halle, his outbursts took an emotional toll.
But it's something that it really terrified her and came to represent the kind of discord and turmoil that her family life was in.
Halle's father ultimately left the family. Eventually, she moved with her mom and sister to a predominantly white Cleveland suburb, a drastic change from their former neighborhood. There, Halle struggled with a pivotal question. Was she black or white?
Halle Berry's mother has been instrumental in helping her choose her identity, which is interesting because her mother is Caucasian. Her mother told her that when the world sees you, they're going to see a black woman, and you should really embrace that.
She decided that, she was going to be African American, she was going to be black, and she was not going to be someone who she felt would be, confused about who she was. I won't be living a fantasy in terms of the way people are always going to treat me.
Halle faced discrimination at her predominantly white high school.
The kids would often tease her by leaving Oreos in her school locker, calling her zebra.
Halle joined the Honor Society, the school paper, and the cheerleading squad to prove her worth to her classmates.
She fought it by just becoming more involved in her school and just really trying to make the best out of her school experience. She was a class president, she joined the pom-poms, she was like, best girl all around, if you will.
Halle was voted prom queen. Even still, a messy controversy threatened her crown.
Halle Berry's victory of winning prom queen was bittersweet because people accused her of stuffing the ballot. But her mother had to come down to the school and just raise some hell and say, no, my daughter didn't do this.
At the time, all Halle really knew was it stunk. It didn't sit right with her. She felt she had won the honor fair and square. She decided that she was going to pay the school back. And so she ended up showing up for the prom really late, way past being fashionably late, just to kind of show that, hey, you're going to mess with me, I'm going to mess with you.
Halle was determined to show the world that black was beautiful. So when Halle's boyfriend entered her in a beauty pageant, she jumped at the chance. She was a natural and went on to win Miss Teen All-American at age 18 and won Miss Ohio USA and was first runner-up in the Miss USA pageant when she was 20. Miss USA was more than a contest. It was a televised event watched by millions of viewers worldwide, and Halle was only one of few women of color to make it into the top 5 in the history of the pageant.
We've taken magazines, we see lots of people of color. But when Halle was coming up, it wasn't the case, because people were forced to confront some of their racial attitudes and change them based on her talent and based on the graceful way she carried herself, and she kind of made herself queen.
Halle even competed as Miss United States World in the Miss World pageant, placing an impressive fifth.
She was the first black woman to represent the U.S. in this world pageant, which was amazing. I mean, this was back in the mid-'80s, and it was almost like the future was being told, because she would go on to be voted one of the most beautiful women in the world several times over.
But being a beauty queen doesn't pay the bills.
At one point, she sort of phoned home for some money, and her mom said, "I'm sorry, you chose his life. You need to deal with it," because she really wanted Halle to be able to support herself on her own.
So Halle moved to Chicago, where she parlayed her beauty queen experience into modeling jobs. But Halle wasn't satisfied with work based solely on her beauty.
Halle Berry knew she wanted to be an actress, and she would constantly say, like, "I want to be an entertainer."
And not just any old entertainer. Halle told friends her goal was to be the best actress in the world. But few believed that this shapely model had what it took to make it as an actress.
It's very hard for a beauty queen to make the transition to acting, because casting directors are very unlikely to take you seriously, or I can't think of too many who've done it.
But Halle was determined to break through. She moved to New York City, signed with a manager, and pursued casting calls with great resolve. 2 months after she moved to New York, Halle got her big break on an ABC sitcom, where her experience as a model actually worked in her favor.
Halle's first television show was a show called Living Dolls, which starred Leah Remini, and it was a bunch of models that live in an apartment in New York. This was a kind of an ironic show for Halle Berry, because she was just coming off of her modeling career, and then, she finally gets a role in television, and it's about models.
She very eagerly and happily accepted the challenge of playing this role, even though it really wasn't much of a challenge to play.
She knew she was the token black model on the show. The only redeeming aspect of her character was that she was brainy. So she accepted that she was paying her dues.
As a fledgling actress, Halle worked insane hours and barely found time to eat. The consequences would be devastating. A medical emergency would threaten her career and her life.